Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Battlebird Bricks YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a little different than my previous mock showcases because instead of a build, we're going to be looking at some of my custom Fallout weapons. I've been working on a few Fallout mocks recently, and I noticed there's not a lot of third-party buying options for LEGO Fallout weapons. But I really wanted that extra bit of detail that elements like that can provide in my mocks, so I decided to make my own. All my weapons are inspired by their Fallout 4 variants, and you can see I have my Fallout 4 figure here, ready to go and test these weapons out. Now they're not exact, but I think that they're great for the scale, and I consider them to be a bit Lego-fied, like the Star Wars blasters. They're not quite exact, but you know what it's meant to be when you look at it. Now without further ado, let's jump right into these weapons, starting with my laser musket. First up we have the laser musket, and if you've ever played Fallout 4, I'm sure you recognize this one. And love it or hate it, it's quite the iconic weapon from the game, so I knew I had to recreate one for my figures. Now you can probably notice right away that the base of this rifle is just a Brickarms flintlock with the top sanded down flat and all the other parts are just scrap Lego and Brickarms parts. And that's how I make all my customs. I find the Lego or Brickarms parts that have similar components to what I want to make, and then I just cut, glue, and paint until I have something close to the source material. Now, back to the musket itself, you can see what I meant by it being a bit Lego-fied. A lot of the fine details aren't represented, but it's still recognizable as a laser musket, with things like the hand crank and the laser chamber represented in this smaller scale. And one thing I'm really happy about with this weapon is the ability to remove these laser sections here on the barrel so that you can represent the gun when it's being fired and when it's not being fired, just like this. That's going to do it for the laser musket, so let's move on to the next custom. Next up, we have another iconic weapon of the wasteland, the laser rifle. This is actually the first custom weapon I ever made a couple years ago, and you'll be able to tell it has one of the rougher paint jobs out of the bunch here. But I'm still very happy with the way this one came out. I'm particularly pleased with the scale. I think it fits really well when paired with a figure, and scale is something I really try to focus in on and represent properly, as I'm not a fan of big, oversized looking Lego accessories. Anyway, there's not too much to say about this one as it's pretty simple, but I think very effective in what it's supposed to be and what it's representing. Next up, we have one of my favorite weapons from the game, the combat rifle. I love the BAR look of this rifle and all the mod options it has in the game. The weapon modding feature in Fallout 4 is one of my favorite aspects of it, and something I wanted to represent in my customs also. So you'll notice I have two variants of the combat rifle here. One base rifle, and one modded with a scope and a silencer. And each one has a ported barrel as well. And you'll see that in the next two custom weapons that we take a look at, I have a couple different variants of each. I wanted to do that so that my mocks have some loot variety, as in the game it's a bit rare to find a weapon without some kind of unique mod. I love how these combat rifles came out, and I think that they would look great in my next Fallout build. Jumping back to energy weapons for this one, next up we have the plasma rifle. I've always loved the kind of industrial, haphazard look of Fallout's plasma rifles, so recreating some for my figures was a no-brainer. These are definitely some of the most intensive customs that I've made, as they require a lot of small detail elements, but to me they turned out better than I could have hoped for. You'll see again that I have two different variants here, two of the base plasma rifles, and then one that's modded into a plasma sniper rifle to liquefy those super mutants at a safe distance. Something I really tried to focus on for these was making sure that that buttstock went right back up to the shoulder of the minifigure, just because I don't like when you have a Lego rifle that the buttstock kind of sits to the side of it or off of the shoulder. I think it looks a little goofy. You're not able to properly pose that figure with the rifle that you want in their hands. So it was a big concern to me that all of these buttstocks fit perfectly into that shoulder, which they all do, and I'm very pleased with that. The last custom weapon we're going to take a look at is the assault rifle, another controversial yet iconic weapon from Fallout 4. So you know I had to make a couple of them. Now these are actually my favorite customs that I've made. I think the scale is perfect and the paint came out very clean and crisp. And once again, you can see I have two different variants here. One base rifle and one scoped. And both with those iconic features of their in-game counterparts, like a side-loaded magazine and cooling tubes along the side of the rifle. The last two things I wanted to go over are just two small little environmental items that I made for my Mocs. So I made this small tin of Mentats, and I made that just by printing out a Mentats label on some sticker paper and then applying it to a 1x2 tile. And I think that looks great for what it needs to be. And the next thing is this small stim pack. And this was made by just using a syringe, I think from Brickarms, that I repainted silver and black and then just painted this little dial onto the top. And I think that looks pretty great to scale as a little stim pack, and it works great in a scene, just throwing it by a skeleton or something like that. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and a comment down below and subscribing so you don't miss anything I have planned. There's going to be some more Fallout 4 inspired builds and Mocs coming on my channel soon, and you're not going to want to miss it. If you guys want a tutorial on how to make some of these guns or maybe get into Lego customizing yourself, then I can make a tutorial on that. Just let me know if that's something you'd want to see. Like I said before, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.